fashion throughout the ages.
Yes.
All the New Year's Eves since the 1900s. We've been going through the whole gamut.
love that beautiful top, by the way. It's so sparkly.
Thank
I like
you.
it.
I love
Sparkly.
fashion. I love anything bright.
Yes,
My favorite
me
color.
too.
My favorite color. Sparkle. You know, anything glitter.
I like it to sparkle too.
We had a picture of Breakfast at Tiffany's. On the screen earlier. We didn't comment. That was the 60s picture I chose because there's so many things I could have picked for the 60s, but that was one of my favorites because
that was iconic too.
Like many
60s,
designers, Audrey Hepburn is one of my biggest icons that I absolutely love and inspires me all the time.
Speaking about Audrey Hepburn, she was a good friend of Hubert de Givenchy. So Givenchy became more famous because of her. Because she wore his outfits. And now of course we have the Givenchy label, but it's no longer faithful to the old fashion house because the old fashion house was more traditional and more elegant and more breakfast at Tiffany. Now they've transitioned to punk rock. I don't know why.
It's like punk rocky. Okay, well, but she had a very beautiful, strong, influence on America with that Breakfast at Tiffany's movie. I just saw it again the other day.
The entire world, not only in America.
I saw it again the other day. It was so great.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful. She really was chic with her hats and her makeup and just the way she pulled everything together with the shoes every time. She had the coolest everything that went together. And she was so fresh and young and carefree in that movie.
Yes, she was. I loved watching that movie.
Yeah, and it was a bittersweet movie, but
it was
a good movie because it showed a time in history of America.
Yes, I love that cat in the movie.
I almost had my dog on today.
Yeah.
My dog Raleigh was almost here. He had a tuxedo, but we didn't get it ironed in time, so we couldn't have Raleigh. But Raleigh would have.
My gosh, Gerard Peppard was very handsome in that movie. He was very young back then.
I don't notice him. I just noticed the clothes and Tiffany's,
Gerard
the jewelry.
Peppard, oh my goodness, back in the day.
Okay, calm down. Calm down. Just...
Okay, now let's talk about the 1970s.
Yeah, the 70s. So we have, this is like a typical evening dress, very mod, came in, everything kind of sleek. Polyester was invented. So these two dresses have Lurex thread and polyester looking.
Oh, I love Lurex. I'm sorry. Yeah. If you're gonna hate me, don't judge me, but I love Lurex.
I do too. I mean, it's just
and it's back.
I like it everywhere. I like it on the table at Christmas and holidays. I like it, on clothing.
And I would love to design an entire collection using Lurex.
Well, the stretch Lurex, that's great.
The stretch and sparkly.
That's what David Topaz did this last season.
Oh, beautiful.
He used a lot of gold Lurex in thread fabrics. And this is a pleated. This piece is pleated.
My gosh.
It was just very typical. I mean, the looks were sleek. The Mary Tyler Moore show, right? I mean,
Mary Tyler Moore, and there's Sonny and Cher. Let's not forget about Sonny and Cher. Because they were 70s fashion icon. Right. And let's not forget about my favorite group. You can dance. You can jive.
ABBA!
The time of your life.
I love it. ABBA's everybody's favorite.
The 70s would not exist without
ABBA. Right. ABBA was rocked. I mean, really, ABBA is so special. I mean, the music, it never dies.
Don't judge.
True. Don't judge because you know what? It's always fun. It's always fun. It makes you feel happy when you hear that ABBA music. Absolutely.
That's the queen.
Okay, the next one is the 1980s. This dress is iconic. This shape is iconic. I mean, even our director, Maria, said this was the exact dress she had for her prom in high school.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. And the
peplum skirt, the little
thing
skirt.
That I loved about the 1980s, it borrowed its strong look from the 1940s.
Yeah, the shoulder pads.
The shoulder pads.
Right.
The shoulder pads, the cinched waistline, the
Mm-hmm.
hourglass shape,
Mm-hmm.
exaggerated shoulders. That was,
Bold colors
yeah, the
and the
bold
bold
colors,
bold
yeah,
silhouettes and the
yes,
big hair.
and the
I'm
big
sporting
hair,
the big hair tonight just
yes,
for the 80s.
and
Just to show you that I'm an 80s
and let's not
fan.
forget Dynasty, because Dynasty
Oh,
marked
Dynasty.
that era, and I loved all the one-liners of Alexis Carrington.
Have you memorized a
I
few?
I loved all the bitch slapping in Dynasty, the
The good
hair
and the
pulling,
blonde
the
with the good one, and the
one-liners.
dark hair one was the bad one.
Yes, and you know, you hear Alexis go, I know that you've been slaving over a hot stove, but I'll take a rain check for it. You know, stuff like that. And then when she would turn around.
Oh God, Alexis, she was
Alexis
so.
was something.
She
She
was.
was the bitch that everybody loved.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You love to hate.
Yeah.
The woman you love to
The
hate.
woman
Right?
you love to hate, but she had beautiful eyes.
Oh God, yeah. She looked
Oh my
great.
gosh,
She looked
yeah.
good. That's for
So
sure.
anyhow,
And this is a traditional dress she would have worn too. I can remember, all these outfits.
I want to tell you that some fashion
Suits.
editor from the 80s called the 1970s the decade that good taste has totally forsaken.
Oh God.
That was like,
In
I
a
remember
way,
that, and I
I
started
get it
laughing.
on a level because it kind of went garish. It went the big earrings and the big hair and just sort of like over the top.
And the pillow shoulder pads,
And,
and that's
and Norma Kamali shoulder pads.
Norma Kamali shoulder pads.
I put them in things if they weren't in things.
And that's the reason why I love Thierry Mugler from Paris, because he tailored it down, the shoulder pad. It was still big, but it looked very Catwoman-like.
Right, a lot more chic.
He was,
he had leather, right?
Yes, leather jackets, and he was inspired by goddesses and sirens and mermaids and demons and all fused into one. I have a book by him, and then he said, the gods don't speak our language and they live in implacable calm. Okay, we're moving on to the 1990s.
Beautiful quote of the 80s. I love
90s.
Now we're getting to the 90s.
Grunge.
I would say J-Lo. The 90s, really the 2000 was J-Lo, the dress, the very low cut to the navel, and I don't think I have a picture of
but
it.
Let's not.
I think I have these pictures right now on the screen, which are the very 80s, very typical gowns that were,
It was a toned down version of the 80s because it was transitioning, but they also reintroduced a lot of fashion from the 70s and the 90s, where they introduced grunge. That was the time that some big designer was into pot and he became a crackhead. He shall remain nameless, but that's what came about.
And so grunge was
homeless
born.
chic.
Yeah, homeless chic. Everything tattered. Like if it wasn't tattered, he'd make it tattered.
Yeah,
and he'd find something tattered and he'd sew it on the edge.
Yes, and you looked at the collection and the whole thing smelled bad, but in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way.
I don't know.
I actually really loved grunge because it made you feel more casual, more relaxed. I mean, it was sort of a relaxed. It was like a motorcycle jacket, but in clothing. It was casual elegance. It was casual elegance. Yeah, I like grunge.
The bell bottoms came back. The platform shoes came back.
And holes in your pants, holes in your clothing. Deconstruction is what that's called. Yeah. Where there's taking away, there's cutouts and there's
and
open
the minimal
spots and
tailoring. I mean, it was still hourglass, but the shoulders shrank, became smaller.
Right, and non-existent.
Non-existent.
Like right now, we don't have shoulder pads really per se, but there's, if the 80s are coming back, I'm thinking we're going to have them again.
It's actually been back for 6 years now, because when I worked at Saks Fifth Avenue, I would always love selling Balmain, and they had exaggerated shoulder pads, but not pillow-like, not quarterback-like.
Not like Norma Kamali-like.
No.
Yeah, but it helps certain people's figure. When someone hasn't got a shoulder, when they just don't, I was a swimmer for 6 years when I was a kid, so I have big shoulders, athletic body, sort of like that, at least upper. Yes. But kids, people with no shoulders, really, that's nice. It gives them a little something. It makes them look better. It makes the attention go right here. 2017.
I noticed that the young people and also our director's daughter, Trisha, are wearing the cropped shirt. I said, oh my gosh, that's fashion from our time,
right.
from 1983.
That's
Remember
Madonna.
Flash
That's
Dance?
Madonna and Flashdance.
Madonna.
Yeah,
That's I said.
you
Oh
gotta.
my gosh.
Everybody still curls
Yeah,
up their T-shirt in the back or
that's
in the
from our
front.
time. Yeah.
That started then, and yeah.
You made your match when you met me. That was a Madonna song.
Material.
Yeah, material girl.
I
And
know.
Papa don't preach. I'm in trouble deep.
How about the Virgin?
Oh, like a virgin,
Kiss
touched for 1,000 times.
No, she hasn't been
No.
She's never been touched by 1,000 times.
No,
that means
that's my version of
hasn't
like,
been touched at all
that,
yet.
that was
Everybody.
my version of
I
like
know.
a virgin.
I know. He knew the slut. He knew the slut version
The
of that
slutty
song.
version.
I knew the right version.
Like
of that
a
song.
virgin. Hey, you know.
It meant you were from Lodi. I'm from Lodi.
I'm from Fire Island.
You're from that says it right there in the name. Right there. Right
From
there.
Fire Island.
Right there in the name.
Every flaming boy is.
So in the 80s, okay, we went from the 80s, 90s. Okay, now we're going to the 2000s.
2000.
Really, 2008.
Millennium.
And that was J-Lo. Right to the navel.
Yes,
We don't have the picture because I actually forgot to send it to her. But the picture of J-Lo with the navel showing, that dress was iconic. And it started a lot of trends. It did start a lot of things happening.
That green dress by J-Lo was designed by Versace, by the way. I think it was Donatella.
Donna took over.
Yeah, Donatella.
She's been doing great too ever since. Her poor brother.
What I love about Donatella, and in spite of the fact, for those of you who don't know, her brother Gianni Versace, who was a god, who was a fashion god, back in the 80s and 90s, was shot dead. But we're not gonna talk about his murder.
It was sad.
He died, and Donatella took over.
Yeah, the sister with the blonde hair.
Yes.
And she has big lips and big eyes.
Lady Gaga
She's
made a song about her. Yeah.
What was the song?
Donatella. Yeah, that was the song.
But
Konnichiwa.
Wow. But you know what? She's really she's been very strong and taken over and kept the taste level right there.
Yeah.
And just kept it going, which the family legacy continues.
Well, there is something funny. Lady Gaga was channeling Donatella too much that Donatella got her for her ad campaign. That's a funny thing.
Because the blonde hair,
With the
she was copying her blonde hair.
blonde straight hair, bleach blonde, like really bleach blonde
Lady
hair.
Gaga was doing a lot of blonde hair for quite a while, and so she was getting annoyed, huh? But Donatella, and everybody was wondering if she was going to do it, if she was going to be able to do it, like her brother. But she did.
And she did, and the millennium. What I love about the millennium is it brought about not only fashion designers but singers. Beyonce, Lady Gaga became fashion icons, and she won, the fashion icon of the decade. And
Beyonce.
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga.
And Anna Wintour sent her text message, "You'll be receiving an award," and then she said, "Oh, how lovely," and that's all she said. It's like, okay,
good, thanks.
I think.
And the last picture that I put on there was I don't know, this blue dress. I thought was very nice,
love
and
that color.
It shows the 2017.
Yes.
It's like this looks like who's the one for Modern Family? I can't say that right.
I don't remember.
But this is a very shoulders have been in.
Yes.
Shoulders, cut out shoulders, and shoulders. And
oh yes, the cold
in.
shoulders. Yeah, they called it the cold shoulders.
Well, they're warm.
Yeah.
But I love shoulders.
Yes.
I had my wedding dress had shoulders,
yeah.
and that was 25 years ago.
Oh my goodness! So we have a minute. What do we do with this precious minute?
I wanted to just wrap it up by saying that so many things change fashion, and I would say that the movies today can strongly influence social changes of all different kinds.
Yes.
Like Coco Chanel, she brought social change. The 60s brought social change. The Coco Chanel brought sportswear and swimwear to our and pants to women for the first time in the early 1900s. She really improved our quality of life for women. And she was the only designer a person, I guess, of status that she made who didn't come from status, and she didn't even fully get accepted in society in her whole entire life.
Yeah, because
Yet
she was
the top.
orphan.
She was the top designer of the world at that time,
of the entire century
and our century.
Yeah.
But she really didn't fit in and never really was fully accepted in society. But she had an eye and a knowledge. She had an inspiration. The man's dressing with the pearls and just the whole idea of giving women wings or pants. I mean, we could wear pants now and bathing suits, and we didn't have to, look dowdy.
Yes, and now the one who spearheads the fashion house of Coco Chanel is the Kaiser, Karl Lagerfeld.
He's still great.
Always.
I know.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like Karl Lagerfeld.
But he's very humble. You know what he said to Valentino when Valentino retired? He said, you make the beautiful dresses and we all make dresses for peasants. That's what Karl Lagerfeld. He's a joker, and that's what I love about him. That's what I love about him.
I don't understand what that meant.
Oh, now it's the end. He was just being silly.
We're ending our segment. We loved seeing you.
Yes.
And we hope to cap you next time to hear about fashion. We're going to be talking to some great designers coming up in the next few weeks who are in Las Vegas, who have stores or don't, but they really are very good designers who have been working for many years.
And thank you for inviting me. Every time that I'm with you, I feel like I'm on a horse race. Like I'm galloping.
I want to see you dance. Yeah, that was so good. I loved your dancing. He's the best. JC, you're fun.
No, she's the best.
No, he's the best. He's a lot of fun and
the Bettina.
And we're having a great time being together on this show, just chatting about fashion. And we hope that you call in, and we hope that you follow us.
Yes.
For our next segments. Bye.
Bye.